I just think that over the last 20 to 30 years, we've been really separated from what we're capable of and what we're told we're capable of. And I think it's hard for some people to disconnect and to disconnect from the propaganda machine.
Welcome to the Mountain Tough Podcast, brought to you by SAUER. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Mountain Tough Podcast. I am Dustin Diefendorfer, founder and CEO of Mountain Tough, and I'm so glad that you are here. We love seeing you dive into these episodes week after week. It is our goal to bring you an inspiring guest every single week, every single episode that gives you those tools in your mindset toolbox so that you can overcome adversity in different ways, work on that mental toughness, fight against mental weakness, and live that abundant, always ready life. There is always uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty out there this year, and we know that the always ready lifestyle of making sure that you're physically, mentally, spiritually, nutritionally prepared and improving every day is helpful so that you are there to help your community, your family, and compete with yourself as well. Today's episode certainly is going to help you pack some tools into that toolbox. If you are a new or a loyal listener, it does mean the world to us to see you guys leave a ranking or review. I'm a big believer in iron sharpens iron, so your feedback is priceless for me. And the rankings and reviews, they do help these episodes get out to more people to transform more lives. Mountain Tough here in Bozeman, Montana at the lab has been rocking and rolling. We had an amazing Tough Fest event. Tough Fest is that epic, magical day that can change the whole 10 years of your life. We have the outdoor workout, the Mountain Tough competition, the Conquer Hunger food drive. The guest speakers are incredible. They were incredible this year. We had Michael Easter diving into the comfort crisis and Barclow talking about survival tips in the backcountry, a life-changing experience. And if you missed Tough Fest this year in 2024, make sure you block your calendar for 25. In 25, it's always going to be that second or third week in June. We always do it the day before Big Sky Total Archery Challenge. So keep your eye on that week. Block that on your calendar now to make sure you can join us coming up for Tough Fest 25. Transitioning to today's guest, in the intro, we talk about leveling up that mindset, leveling up those mental toughness tools. And a big component of that is making sure that you're on the right path. As we know in hunting, we need the right map to get to the right spot and not get lost. In life, we need to make sure we're on the right path. And today's guest is Kip Fulks. He's the co-founder of Under Armour, and now he's a strategic advisor and partner with Origin. But we talk a lot today about what the wrong path can be and how we're seduced down the wrong path all the time of materialism, of possessions, of finances, and how that's not going to fulfill the hole in our heart. And Kip's going to share his story today of going from co-founder of Under Armour, that company growing and being taken public, for him to get all those material possessions and realizing that that still isn't satisfying. He shifted gears. He bought an outfitting business, a brown bear outfit in Alaska called Bushwhack, so that he could get back in adventure. He could get his boys into the wilderness. And then he's also partnering up with Origin to re-energize, revitalize, bring back American manufacturing. So in the second half of his life, he's doing a lot of things he didn't have to do, but they're things that are important to him, and they're things that align with his passion, and they're uncomfortable. So he's doing things that are uncomfortable when he doesn't have to in the second half of his life. It's a highly, highly inspiring episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear this. So stand by for my conversation with Kip Fulks. Well, let's dive right in. When did you get home from Alaska?
Literally, it's been 3.5 days now. So it was almost 3 weeks there, which was great.
Nice.
I was in kind of remote Iliamna, Alaska.
Awesome. And you were working with another guide this year trying to get your guide days?
So I bought a guide and outfit business, and then along the way, I want to earn my stripes. So I'm getting my guide days on top of being the owner of the business. I can't actually guide someone in Alaska because I'm not an Alaskan guide. So I'm learning a lot from the guys that have been there doing it. Some of them are, 4 or 5 years into it. And then my partner, Tim, has been a guide for 15 years in Alaska.
Awesome. And this particular place that you bought, it does specialize in grizzly hunts. Is that accurate?
We have grizzly, brown bear, and moose. Those three things probably make up like 85% of what we do. We do some unbelievable fishing and some black bear, but the previous owner really just specialized in brown bear and moose. And
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love bear hunting. I love moose hunting. I have a lot to learn, but I've been going to Alaska for 25 years, and my grandfather was from Fairbanks.
Oh, awesome. And you're super into the archery brown bear hunts and getting them in close.
Yeah, I mean, we had one customer make it happen. We had three archery hunters this spring season. Only one was successful, but I just get a kick out of seeing guys that like take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say archery brown bear is next level for sure. Uh, is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? I've been a part of some camps where actual rifle hunters have been, mauled. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, any type of hunting with bears can get dangerous. But I would say the nature of archery, it's just you got to get closer, man. And that you never know what's going to happen. But we had one guy shoot a monster on his last day of his hunt on like the 10th day after like grinding it out. Those to
Man.
me, that's everything. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, those buzzer beaters just fighting to the very end are the best.
And we had other clients literally kill on the second day, and all they can say is like, "Hey, get me out of here." So being in the wilderness is it's a learned skill like anything. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it for the first time, hey, it's okay. You may not be comfortable. You got to do it again. You got to do it
Yeah.
again. You got to do it again.
You
Uh,
think is it the remoteness, being that far from civilization, no emergency button, no one's going to get you out of there. You think that freaks a lot of guys out?
well, let's think about the mass propaganda of the marketing machine called media. We've
Mm-hmm.
all been told you need things and you need comfort. And it's in our everyday vernacular in everything we see. And I just think that over the last 20 to 30 years, we've been really separated from what we're capable of and what we're told we're capable of. And we're capable of being like some unruly caveman motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been told we need all these things to live. And I think it's hard for some people to disconnect and to disconnect from the propaganda machine. And I would say I've definitely struggled at times. I mean, I've been in the backcountry and I've had a lot of success, and then other times I've been in the backcountry and I felt like day 3 I was stressed as shit. Like I got to
Yeah.
get back. I got to get back. I got shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or God, I'm uncomfortable. I wish I had a better sleeping pad.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not looking down upon anybody that has had good or bad experiences. I will just say that I think it's good for your soul to just keep trying more of it.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah, and
really
you've
is.
and you've lived on both sides of that equation because I know with your business experiences, you've been busy and probably stuck in an office, stuck on a phone, stuck on computers, and you've been producing media as part of those businesses as well. So you've kind of seen both sides of that equation and kind of have a good talking point from that, because not only have you been deep in the backcountry, but you've also, founded some great businesses at the same time.
Yeah, and hey, look, those businesses are built off profitability. They're built off of marketing, and they're convincing people to like go out and buy goods and services. And I'm trying to align with brands today that I believe in their mission.
Hmm.
I'm behind some really amazing brands that I think the mission is more grounded for society. That's gonna, if that brand does well, I feel like it helps society. Yeah, in the past, I don't know. Maybe it was just selling shit to sell shit. But
Hmm.
in terms of just working hard and being able to unplug, for a long time, I felt that really difficult. I was that guy that would come into camp. I would be there 3 or 4 days, and I'd be like, "Man, I gotta go. I gotta go." And I'd shoot an animal and be like on a plane the next day. And then
Yeah.
I started to learn to just like really enjoy like the longer amount of time I could be out there.
Yeah.
Um, it's different, man. It really like gives you perspective that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Especially on those extended trips. Yeah, when you get into that, 7, 10, 14, 21 day range, it does take a little while for me, it seems like, for your mind to make that transition from like a work mode to a backcountry mode. And the more time you can get out there to decompress, the better sometimes.
I think you come back healthier. I think you come back a little bit more vibrant. Yeah, you may be dirty and tired and you got to sleep a little bit extra on the rebound, but yeah, man, it's I grew up with it. My dad was born and raised in Great Falls, Montana. I was hiking and fishing in the backcountry from a young age. He's a Vietnam vet, and I think he really wanted to get away from people.
Hmm.
And so every turn, it was like, okay, cool, we're going here. I'm like, it wasn't Disneyland. It was like, oh, we're hiking in to see this peak. Oh, we're gonna go catch trout here. Oh, we're gonna do this 40-mile loop. So, and you know what's funny is I hated it and I resented him.
Yeah.
And I was a teenager or younger, and I was like, why are we doing this? And once I got out there, I was okay because you can't run away, and there was no cell phones back then. But it's funny. The minute I was able to do something on my own, I think there was something inherent that I remembered about how I felt about myself and the confidence that it built, that the minute it became my choice, I wanted to get back there after all those years of hating it.
That is so interesting, because my personal experience is pretty identical, where my dad pushed me and my sister hard in the backcountry at a young age, and
Yeah,
we were backpacking in the mountains of the Bighorns outside of Sheridan, Wyoming, all the time for like high alpine lake summer backpacking
that's it,
fishing
man.
trips. And
Love it.
my sister hated it, and even me, there was trips where it's like, gosh dang, we're doing this again. And my dad always wanted to get to a lake that no one else had been to, and so we're always off trail bushwhacking. And I'm so, now in hindsight, I'm so glad that that's what he did. And you do get to that age where that is what you want, and that's what you start chasing on your own, which I think is really, it's important for people to know that, because I know you have sons now, I have daughters. And when I push my daughters hard now, I can see how they feel like I felt when I was their age at times. And and they're like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. But you making them go anyways at times is the right answer, because I think over their whole life journey, they will appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance that is really hard to navigate. I will say at times I do a good job of it. At other times I don't feel like I do a good job. Maybe I give in a little too much. I will
Hmm.
say for my father, there was no giving in. There wasn't even a debate.
Hmm.
We did a lot of stuff that, I mean, I remember one time doing the Sierra Nevadas when he was stationed in San Diego, and we drove into, I don't know, past Lake Arrowhead or something, or forget the, maybe it was a Bear Lake, forget the name of it, but it was straight up. It was straight up for like 4,000 feet, like straight up, right out of the car, driving 7 hours on a pack that was too heavy. And the
Yeah.
minute we camped, it was just like a barrage of clown bears bothering us all night long, to the point where we stacked rocks outside of our tent so we didn't have to go collect rocks to throw at the bears.
Oh
So you
man.
got no sleep. You had to carry all your water. It was in this really dry, arid part of California. And I will say on that one, my dad and I turned around and we came back after the third day. It was supposed to be like a 60 mile, but there was usually it was never a no with my dad. I think he was tired on that one too. It was brutal. And when the trail is cut by a horseback and not a hiker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just cut totally different and straight the hell up. And it's like, yeah, a
Yeah.
horse can do that, but a person, it's tough. But it's funny you talked about your sister. My sister had some very similar experiences. Like she struggled with the whole like, let's go backcountry and taking your clothes off to cross streams and carrying it over your head. And her two
Yeah.
younger brothers making fun of her. And man, she was pissed for years.
My sister was too. It's hard to know how hard to push. I think it is a delicate kind of balance because you don't want to push them out of the sport entirely by taking it over the top.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've found where the balance is. I think definitely as they get older, you give them choices, but the choices are self-defined. Something's going to be hard, but they get to choose which one. So if
Mm-hmm.
they have a little bit of ownership in it, I think that you got to give them some decision rights along the way. As much as that might be a narrow decision, it's still got to be, they got to take some ownership into it. It's like, hey, do you want to hike this place or do you want to hike this one? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to hike this one. Or, hey, do you want to, I'm trying to get my son on an elk hunting trip. And I'm like, okay, well, let's probably not start with a backcountry elk hunt. Let's just go on a good rifle elk hunt. And like, he's 14. Let's start there. So I think there's definitely some balancing act you can do, but it's
Mm-hmm.
hard, man. And I think every kid is different, right? Like
They
my
are.
one
Yeah.
son is different than my other son, and what works for one doesn't work for the other.
It's very individualistic.
Yeah.
And even when I chatted with you at the UFC, this major pivot that you made to buy this outfitting business in Alaska, that is a pretty major pivot, and part of that was intentional for you to get outside more, get outdoors more, and expose your boys to kind of this remote Alaskan wilderness at the same time.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I mean, I was on another podcast with Cliff Gray, and he just posted it, and I saw some comments about it, like, oh yeah, rich guy's buying an outfitter. He's probably going to have his meals flown in, and he's not going to pack the moose out. Everybody else is going to do the work, and I'm just like, I totally understand that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but that ain't fucking me.
Yeah.
Like, not in 1,000 years. So, like, I'm gonna try. I'm 51. I bought this going, hey, how do I want to spend the next 20 years of my life? I know what the boardroom looks like. I know what corporate America looks like. I don't want to fucking go back to that.
Yeah.
There's no interest there. I didn't serve. My brother and my dad served. I'm 51. I'm not going to go join the Marines. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what's something that I can challenge myself with that's really obtainable from where I'm at in my life? And I'm like, well, cool. You can run an outfitting business. And yeah, of course, I'm going to have to make decisions. I'm going to have to be in the lodge. I'm going to have to help organize logistics. But there's also times where I'm going to be in the backcountry packing out a client's moose. Am I going
Mm-hmm.
to pack out all the moose? No. Am I going to have help? Yes. But the fact of the matter is I'm 51 and I didn't have to fucking do this.
Yeah, you didn't have to do it for
No.
sure.
So I'm stoked. And then along the way, my kids will be there watching dad do shit that he didn't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And to
And they'll
me,
be able to
I just don't know
experience it.
what lesson's more valuable.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second and talk to you about nutrition and supplementation. There are a plethora of options when it comes to supplements that can be kind of overwhelming, so I wanted to let you guys know what I do take. So in the mornings, I am taking the Mountain Ops greens and the collagen right when I wake up, and that has been a game changer. I don't eat a lot of vegetables throughout the day, so adding those greens in the morning is quick and efficient, and I can really feel the collagen. In addition, I do enhance my workouts. My Mountain Tough training sessions are quite difficult, and so I do like to take the Enduro. It gives you a cardio enhancement that you can actually feel. And then I also like a little caffeine with my workout, so I'm taking the Mountain Ops Ignite. Lastly, it's really important that you are getting enough protein and recovering after these difficult sessions. What I do know is even following a strict whole foods diet, I'm not getting nearly enough protein on most days unless I take a supplement. So I do take the Mountain Ops protein after my workout to make sure that I'm hitting about 1 gram per body weight for a functional athlete. So taking the Mountain Ops protein with some creatine after my workouts has been huge. Those are the products I am taking and that I recommend. The Mountain Ops team is giving Mountain Tough podcast show listeners an exclusive discount to their products. It is a great deal. So for a first time purchase on mountainops.com, you do get 20% off. All you need to do is go to mountainops.com and then use the code MountainTough at checkout. That's MTNTOUGH, all caps, all one word. Apply that as your promo code at checkout, and you're going to get 20% off your first order. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. That is huge. I mean, just them getting on a flight, going up there, getting off the plane and hiking around, like the fishing, anything, any Alaska experience is
It's going to blow their mind.
It's going to change their life for sure.
Yeah. In my way, in my perspective, changing their life to a positives where they become joined at the hip with outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can say, oh, well, not everybody can afford to buy an outfitter business. And, you know, oh, you're just coming in and you didn't build it. Well, no, I didn't. The previous owner is amazing. Him and his wife, Martha, are amazing. I hope they stay around for a long time. But like, those are just excuses. Like, I still got to go do it. And my kids get a benefit from it. Eric Salatan, the previous owner, and Martha, they have a son, Lucas, and he's a packer for us now. He's 14.
Crazy.
He assisted another guide in getting a bear down that was charging. He was 14.
Yeah. Just growing up fast. Insane. Yeah, growing up fast, like becoming a man fast. I want a t-shirt that
says, I want to be Lucas. I wasn't doing that at 14.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, you talk about how mature you can get at an early age in those rough environments compared to, you know, growing up in the city for sure.
What do you think with your dad? What do you think where he went too far? Like, where was the balance out of whack? I'm curious to know your experience, because I definitely think my dad went overboard. Mainly, sometimes he just got frustrated and angry, but I think that was PTSD. Where do you think the balance happened for you guys?
You know, it's funny. We talk about that quite a bit, and the thing that we remember a lot being bad memories from being in the outdoors as kids were almost being like too cold.
Mm.
And we joke around about it a lot now because the gear is so much better now than it was even when I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I remember we were buying like really crappy backpacks and really crappy sleeping bags. Like the $30 Coleman sleeping bags is what we
Uh,
had, and just those massive cloth ones.
rated
And
rated for 80 degrees.
and I remember I loved being on those trips, but I started just getting stressed about how cold we were going to get at night. And so now when I think about my daughters and getting them out, I think a little bit more about doing it the right way, and just kind of as a hunting population, we've gotten so much better at these things than my dad's age group had the chance to do. But like better gear, and so that you're better prepared and that you can stay through those elements a little bit warmer than we
Yeah.
did. I see it with shooting too, like teaching my daughters how to shoot. Now we have, suppressors and ear pro and great bipods, great optics, great guns. I remember my uncles just like handing me a 12 gauge and throwing up pop cans and just having giant bruise on my shoulder, and them just kind of laughing at me when it knocked me down. So things have changed a lot. I think we're taking care of our kids better as we enter them into the sport than our dad, just like my dad just was from a different era.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, that's funny. The gear part of buying Bushwhack Alaska, even with an established outfitter doing a great job, I'm coming in going, oh man, there's all these opportunities. We can have light, we fly a lot of drop camps in. So
Mhm.
weight is really important. And just getting the right gear, the lightweight, best in class, one for our customers, but also for our guides.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that whole world is just like it's just come so far. But that's interesting you say that, because I think my first memory of getting out of the backcountry, I was in a '68 Scout with an elk hind quarter that was still warm, and my dad said, "Lay on that to
Yeah.
keep warm." So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember being really, really cold. South Dakota pheasant hunting, I don't think I felt my hands and feet for weeks.
Yeah. So
Like,
cold.
didn't have any real boots. I mean, we were out there with like moccasins on in like -10 and snow.
Mhm.
So definitely that's interesting you bring up the elements, because but it also tells you back to the earlier conversation, is like we're marketed that comfort is important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, mental toughness doesn't come from comfort. So there is a couple times you're going to have to suffer, just so you can do it.
You have to. Yeah, you see that all the time with like the farm and ranch kids out here in Montana that have just been out feeding cows since they were 8, and like the cold doesn't even phase them. They just
Isn't that
mentally,
wild?
it's wild. Yeah,
I mean, we,
you have to get out and put yourself in those situations.
yeah, I got my work cut out for me with my kids, but I'm going to try like hell, and I can't do everything for them, but I'm going to put them in the right spot. Um, at the
That's
end of the
awesome.
day, I'm also okay that if they're tougher than me, I'm super happy. If they're not as tough as me, I'm super happy. I'm not going to judge them relative to what they decide. I mean, maybe one of them wants to be a lawyer and he wants to be in office his whole life and he wants to change the world through the court system. That's okay
Mhm.
too, man. Like, it doesn't have to be one thing. Whatever you do though, like, just give it hell.
Yeah. Give it your all
I,
for
I would
sure.
like them to be fit, and I think that's important. And I'm really focused on showing them. I make them work out with me. I'm trying to do more and more with them on working outs. Now that they're kind of getting 12 and 14, they can do more with me. Obviously, hiking and getting them out. But whatever they do, I'm telling them that fit makes them better. You want to be a doctor? You're better doctor being fit. You want to be a landscape guy? It's better to be fit and a landscape guy. You want to be a musician? It's better to be fit and be a musician. I'm making fit the defining factor, not are you tough? Do you love hunting? Are you in the backcountry? I'm not making that the defining thing. I'm making actually being fit is the
Yeah.
most effective way to do anything.
And they can apply that anywhere to all areas of life.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, right?
Was fitness always a big thing for you, even since you were a kid?
Yeah. So I'm named after a Kenyan marathon runner. My mom and dad were huge marathon runners. And I'm named after Kip Fulks in the 1970 or 72 Olympics. I think he won the Olympics without wearing shoes. He was a
Dang,
Kenya marathon runner. And
that's
my name's
awesome.
Kip. And so it's just been a part of my family. My mom was super fit and all the way up. She passed away kind of at an early age from ovarian cancer. But even in her kind of last few years, I mean, she was shredded.
Hmm.
And my dad being a Marine for 36 years, he was always doing fitness challenges. He was always running marathons. And so it was just right in my face all the time. And
That's
then
awesome.
I played college sports. I played lacrosse and then I played professional lacrosse. So yeah, I just fitness has never been it's never been a debate for me.
And how are you guys training now together at home with your boys? Are you doing the home gym or are you guys going into a local gym?
Well, my one son's on like 20 different sports teams, so he's getting all kinds of daily activity. And then my other son is not as into sports, and we have a little home gym. We do some resistance. I'm doing a lot of stuff with like air squats, push-ups, single
Mm,
legs, curls, with light weights, a lot of sit-ups, just kind of doing the like old school calisthenics.
yeah.
And then both of them are pretty good hikers. And my one son who's not into sports, he has to hike like 2 or 3 times a week to make up for it. So I mean
Dang.
that's it. I'm sure other
Yeah.
people do stuff that's more sophisticated, better, but I'm trying to be consistent. It's not as consistent as I want, but I've really started to focus in on it, and they kind of know
Hmm.
that this isn't like I'm not going to debate this with them.
Yeah. You're doing some training together.
Yeah,
Just that alone makes a big difference so that they know it's just part of the lifestyle.
and just also like letting them know, like, hey, people struggle in life. They struggle from obesity. They struggle from drugs and alcohol. Um, they struggle with pornography. People struggle with things. And so I'm trying to point that out, not being judgmental, but also to show them, like, hey, look, if you choose that path, it could lead that direction.
Mm.
And, maybe people might get down on me that I'm pointing things out that, I'm like pointing a finger, but I'm just explaining to them that those are just a series of choices that someone made to get to that point. So what choices are you going to make?
Yeah.
I'm
Our
really picky about that.
yeah, our daily habits, our daily decisions are going to define who we are.
100%. And I will say, but yeah, I've ignored it. I've made bad decisions. I was, kind of stuck in a corporate mentality where I wasn't getting the reps or doing the things. And really, honestly, the person that changed my life the most was Cam.
Hmm.
I sponsored Cam almost, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years ago at Under Armour.
You
And I
found
was
him,
pretty
right?
fit, but I wasn't, I kind of looked at him and I was like, damn, why is this guy taking it so serious? I was like, maybe I need to up it a few, up it a few octanes. Um,
He
so
was
it's always
pushing it
good to have
hard.
people in your life that you can see firsthand what it does for them.
And you kind of went out and found Cam. Is that correct when you were working for Under Armour?
Yeah, I can't take the credit for it. There was a guy named Brian Boring who's actually the head of creative at Under Armour still, from a marketing standpoint. He's still there, and he brought it to the table. I was starting an outdoor division, and we were looking for people to sponsor. And he's like, "Hey, I got this guy." Um, so I didn't find him. The team at Under Armour did, but I definitely kind of found myself attracted to his mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he like those years, that decade that you found him, he was doing all those crazy running events.
Oh yeah, I mean he still does some big ones, but I mean he was hammering them, and like I will say for Cam, he's been doing a lot of running for a long time,
Long time. Yeah.
long time, long time. One
So
of the things that I used to be a great runner in my younger years, and I will say that that's not my strong suit. I think hiking is more suited for me. Um, I don't know why that is. I blew my Achilles playing lacrosse, had some surgeries on my femoral artery, and running just became a real deterrent. So I enjoy the hiking. Like I love the hiking. I think it's like I'm made for it. I
yeah.
like to get in a groove.
I've used a ton of Bluetooth speakers over the years, and they all have never quite had enough output for me to really have an awesome home gym workout on a Bluetooth speaker. But the Turtle Box is in a whole new ball game. They have leveled up this product, so the bass and the output you get out of a Turtle Box is quite amazing. It's funny how we started using them at the lab. We had an awesome sound system at our new lab here in Bozeman. We were using it so much, we actually blew our brand new system out. We went right to the Turtle Boxes. And so we paired two together in the lab. And that was a lot of output for the Mountain Tough team and all of our testing to have phenomenal sound in our gym for a great workout with great music. We know there's a ton of Mountain Toughers training in their basements, in their garages, and I know a lot of you are looking for great sound to play some music in the background to your MGDs. This is a great product for you to check out. Turtle Box is at a whole new level. The bass and the volume you can get out of that box. It's a sweet product. You guys can check them out at turtleboxaudio.com. Use promo code TOUGH for a free Turtlebox hat with the purchase of a Gen 2 speaker. The hat must be added to your cart before entering the promo code TOUGH, TOUGH. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough Podcast. Well, let's shift into your career a little bit, because I definitely wanted to unpack that from the perspective of, in hindsight, like there's so many valuable lessons looking at our life in hindsight. But you're co-founder of Under Armour, which just happened to be this explosive growth company that did grow at this incredible rate and became a dominant player, in American sport for sure. But in hindsight, when you look at your Under Armour career, let's stay there for a second. What do you think are some things that you learned that would help others that are probably around that same starting point or potentially at that same starting point?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this a lot over the years, and obviously it takes a team. I wouldn't want anybody to walk away from this thinking that I'm some sort of special sauce that like
Mm,
we figured out how to do something that nobody else knew how to do. We had a really good fucking team, like really good team, and a lot of dedicated people. And I think if you go through history and find things like that, you're going to find a good team. Um, and so make really valuing who you bring along for the ride. So if you're starting up something, or you're taking over your family business, or you're even going up the corporate ladder, like who's on your team, man?
mm-hmm.
And are they going to run through walls? And then I think what people don't really give us credit for, or maybe don't really appreciate, dude, it was 24/7.
Yeah. The grind.
It was not a grind. The grind doesn't even do it justice. There was no downtime.
Hmm.
It was always thinking, always working, trying to figure out how to build upon build. Now, I will give my partner Kevin Plank way more credit than myself. His grind was just insatiable. He just was nonstop. He's also the owner and the founder. So
Yeah.
I kind of came in when he started it at Maryland. I came on in the early first couple years, but I didn't invent the idea. It wasn't my idea. And so it took me a little bit to buy into someone else's idea. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was always like, yeah, maybe this is not going to work out. I'll go do this other thing. But, once we started hitting a groove, I was like, the grind was real. And so who's on your team and how hard are you willing to grind? And then also asking, what do you want? Why are you doing all of this? Like, what's the outcome that you want? Try to think of that at the beginning and then check in with yourself over the years. Is it still the same or has it changed? Have you
Hmm.
gotten married? Do you have kids? Are your parents still around? Do you want to travel? Are you interested in hunting? Like, you got to ask yourself what you want in life so you don't end up with something you didn't want. And at the end of the day, I actually ended up with something I didn't want.
Yeah. You got to be
21
careful
years
that.
later, I ended up with, I don't know, a bunch of money and thinking I'm smart and 21 years of working in a sports apparel brand that I'm just not built for that kind of corporate environment.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, now, do you think, like, I know the sacrifices that must have happened with that 24/7 mentality. I mean, were they worth it?
Yeah, I think they were. I definitely think it's different than what I thought. And so along the way, I think it's worth it. I think it was my journey to be had. I think it was my destiny to learn what I learned. I
Mm.
also think that it taught me a lesson. And this fucking people are going to hate this when I say this. People are going to hate it. So I'm going to say it. But money doesn't work, it doesn't fix something that's fucked up in you,
Hmm.
doesn't fill a void. I will say money gives you some opportunities for decisions you otherwise you would have forced to been make. So I think it does put more opportunities and it gives you more choices along the way. But if you fuck up those choices, you're still sitting in the same goddamn place,
Yeah.
you know? So I know that's going to sound really irritating to some people. Oh, you only people that have been, have made, what you did. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. Well, you know what? I've also made some mistakes at money. Like I've spent some money on shit that didn't work, or I invested things that didn't come to fruition. Yeah, I've also lost money, so I've been on both sides of the coin. It doesn't fix what you think is a hole in you.
Well, I love that you're talking about that because it ties back to how we started the podcast, that it's so easy and it's so normal, and it is the majority that, that we're seduced down the wrong path, as especially as Americans. It's the path of materialism, um, sex, greed, comfort is surrounding us at all times from every media perspective, not even just digital media, but any sort of print media or any sort of just like conversation at a social event. So 24/7, we're surrounded by the path to pursue comfort and material possessions. And that is not the path that is going to lead to any sort of abundant, fulfilling life. And so we all go through that where you chase that for a while, and then you realize you might have spent 10 or 20, 15 years going the wrong direction. And and you have to shift and make those changes. But I think the earlier you can figure that out, the better. But it's a hard battle to fight when you're surrounded by people telling you the opposite every direction you look.
It is, man. It's I think you articulated it really well. All I can say, and this is going to sound a little bit odd because I'm gonna make fun of myself a little bit. I will say some of the most humble, well-rounded, grounded people that I've ever met, that I'm actually attracted to their mentality. Like I just like, wow, that's a fucking cool dude. Like I just like what he stands for.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are fucking rich.
Yeah.
Actually, the people that bug me, they treat people poorly. They're condescending. They think they have all the answers. They think that they should be put on a pedestal. So it's funny when you say it out loud. Greed potentially does dilute your character.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I had a great conversation the other day with a good buddy of mine who's he's a welder. And I was just like, he makes good money. I mean, he's not poor by any means, but dude, he's been welding since he was like 14 years old. Like he's now owns his own company, and they travel around the world and do big projects. And I would consider him successful. I don't know if he knows another person that has more money than him. He just has these great group of people around him that are these hardworking, gritty motherfuckers that treat people well, and they really don't care what you say or what you do. They're just going to judge you on like, were you willing to get in the foxhole with them and get shit done?
Yeah, and they're masters of their craft too.
Yeah, they're super talented. And the whole welder porn is a whole nother level. Those dudes just sit there and look at how they can run a bead. But yeah, isn't that a funny thing that I've done well in my life? I probably, have made some money that other people might not get an opportunity. We went public in 2005. We took a company public and we made a bunch of money. And I'm sitting here saying a lot of people that I meet that I don't like are people with money. And sometimes I don't like myself, which is really funny to say.
Yeah, it's crazy that I do love how I feel like you're taking everything you learned and you're trying to apply that now though, which a lot of people don't, and they're kind of stuck in that negative rut for a long time. But it has been cool to watch how you're taking what you learned, which we could define as like not being stoked on corporate America, and applying those lessons into the second half of your life, which a lot of people won't do. A lot of people won't have the guts and the courage to take these leaps of faith, these risky endeavors in the second half of their life. So like, I definitely give you props for having the courage to do that, because buying an Alaska outfitting business, and then I know you have some other entrepreneurial endeavors going on as well, but you are trying to take those lessons you learned and seeing how you can do things differently.
Yeah, I really just want to apply them, like, Origin's all made in USA, which is amazing. Pete and Jocko are just two absolute studs. The product in the brand is amazing. Jocko Fuel, which is also owned by Origin and Jocko, that's making healthy products for people that want to stay fit. And I work a little bit with Montana Knife Company, and they're making knives for hunters. It's like, man, I don't. Yeah, I guess maybe I got really exposed to corporate greed.
Yeah. You
like really exposed to it.
Yeah,
in a kind of a I've like made some analogies, but it's I don't know how to explain it to people, but it's almost like there's another like Twilight, like I don't know, what do they call it? Alter world. There's like
Mm-hmm.
another world when you get into this uber rich and elite. And I think the war we're having is less about are you a Democrat or are you Republican? I actually think there's an undercurrent of haves and have nots.
Mm.
And the people that control are gaining more and more control and wealth. I mean, the whole COVID thing, I don't know, it's like $3 trillion shifted up the wealth curve.
Insane.
It didn't go down the wealth curve. It didn't go to people that needed it. It went to people that didn't need it. And so what is that? And we're talking about propaganda, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about comfort. Well, I think we're in a war of have and have nots.
Mm.
And I think the haves want it all. And they'll stop at nothing. And they care absolutely zero about you and I.
And it's all money driven.
It's number. You're just a number.
Are you guys seeing some kickback at Origin around things like that, like trying to revitalize American manufacturing?
We're doing great, but the institutional barrier that exists with consumers and industries is really steep. We're trying to knock down a wall with a BB gun
Hmm.
that is 6 feet of steel.
Yeah.
It's hard, man, and it's woven into our fabric of politics and corporate lobbying and international trade and product development, marketing and media. It's all organized for us to lose.
It's a big, big fight.
Huge. It's a BB gun. They got fucking rockets.
Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. Where do you see your optimism level at these days in America, your belief in us coming out of the next decade better than we are right now?
I think every empire lasts about 250 years. maybe 300. And I think we're right at the cusp of that number.
Hmm.
So I think I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And I think you're going to see people self-selecting to communities and states that value the same things. I think you're going to see like red ants are going to go where red ants, centipedes are going to go where centipedes, bees are going to go where bees go. Like, I think you're going to see people self-selecting to the nurturing environment that they want. And what a centipede is willing to live in is totally different than what a hummingbird is willing to live in.
Mm.
A centipede lives in the lurking shadows of the dark, damp cracks of a city wall.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good. You're willing to live there? I'm not. A hummingbird. I need fresh air. I need bright sun. I need flowers. I think you're going to see people moving in the direction. I would almost think 20 years from now, states might be countries.
That's interesting. You are kind of seeing that shift already with people
Yeah,
packing up and
it's
moving.
nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I'm not looking for the United States to have a civil war. I'm just saying people are going to go where they're valued most.
Mm-hmm. Morals, ethics, and values.
Yeah.
How is
And honestly, I think the tolerant people are tolerating people are tolerate or are less tolerant of the bees, the hummingbirds, and the ants than they were before. So I actually think people are just less tolerant. Like, they don't want to be around each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way more polarizing than ever before.
Yeah, and I don't know if that plays into some bigger picture or whatever, but it definitely sees. I travel a lot outside the United States and in the United States. I will say that the number one thing that I'm concerned with is the drug and alcohol problem in the United States.
It's bad. Yeah, like the
It's
fentanyl.
bad. All of it. All of it.
And
I mean, I go to a beach lacrosse tournament where the kids are playing um, 2 or 3 lacrosse games on a single day, and parents are on the sideline boozing it up and smoking weed
insane.
just to watch a kids lacrosse tournament.
That's insane.
Like, smoking a little weed and doing some booze, that was for like Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're doing that at 3 in the afternoon for a lacrosse tournament with kids around? Come on, get a fucking grip, people.
Yeah.
Get a grip. Just because marijuana is legal doesn't mean you need to smoke it at 3 in the clock at a kid's sports tournament.
Yeah.
You want to go have a fun weekend with the boys in Vegas and have some whiskey and smoke some weed? Go nuts. But, like, come on, there's a time and place for everything. But it feels like that's the time and place is everywhere now. I don't know how you feel. I live on the East Coast, so I see a little bit of a different vibe than you guys.
Yeah, we're lucky where we're at, just being even like our house is in kind of small town Montana. But the alcohol dependency certainly is major shift. I think COVID poured some gas on that with people drinking a lot more than ever before. And then I think it's connected to everything we've been talking about the whole episode as well, where if you're seduced down that wrong path, you're going to be looking for a hole to fill in your soul, in your spirit. And alcohol and drugs are a numbing device. So everyone's looking to numb because they're not going after those things that their heart is calling them to go after. It's that adventure. It's that passion. It's things that are physically and mentally challenging.
And they just have too much damn time on their hands.
Lots of time. Yeah.
Lots of time. Time is an interesting thing. When time is added up, it never is a benefit. So if you're sitting around the house too long, it's never a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a, some sort of struggle with drugs and alcohol, the longer that's a struggle, it's not a benefit. So time is the ultimate factor that you have to have an understanding of your time on this earth. And I think the marketing and propaganda machine wants you to forget about the time, so they make everything comfortable.
Mm.
Because if you realized the time you had, you may be way more feistier.
Yeah. Yeah, we all are approaching death, and there's limited minutes, limited hours, and it's coming for all of us. So we gotta maximize.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's a really short life. I mean, I don't know, dinosaurs were like 200 million years ago. And, if I'm lucky, maybe I get to 80, 85. Maybe with AI and some robotics, maybe I'll make it to, something, maybe 100, 105. But it's crazy, isn't it?
Still
it
short.
it's such a short period of time.
It's short. Yeah, it's a flash. It's a flash in the pan. It's a vapor. It goes. Even watching your kids grow up makes it go so fast.
I was just looking at baby pictures the other day, man, getting all teary eyed.
It goes so fast. It feels like it
Yeah.
was yesterday.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're listening to this and you're already out there doing adventures, then like, dude, get some people to come with you. Like,
Mhm.
and if you're listening to this and you're not out there, just like, and I'm not saying hunting, I'm not saying backcountry, but I'm just saying whatever is an adventure for you. If you're waiting for something, for someone, for some place and time, or maybe you're nervous or you don't think you have the skill, or like, I just think you're a better person for going out and trying, like, now.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be smarter, wiser, braver, more courage. You're gonna be more inspirational to other people. There's just no downside. There's really no downside. The downside with it is you pick something that was really hard and you died the first thing you did. Well, okay. Well, I mean, a hell of a goddamn story. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Well, I knew that dude. He tried to sail around the world. Well, what happened to him? Well, shit, he fucking died. Oh, fucking dude was a badass. He tried to do that. Did he have any experience at it? No. Holy shit, that dude is like, so at some point you have to start thinking about what people say about you dead and stop worrying about what they say about you when you're alive. And I'm very worried about what people say about me when I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to write your own obituary and start living towards what you want that obituary to say. And the greatest things in all of our lives, we know this, that when we're alive and we look back at the greatest moments, 99% of those moments scared the crap out of us.
Yeah.
But we went for it anyways. And they're always uncomfortable, they're always scary, but they always lead us down the path that leads to fulfillment. And I couldn't agree with you more that it doesn't take much, and it doesn't have to be hunting. It can be any sort of thing that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and you can do that in your own backyard, no matter where you live. Just get out and do something, and leave your phone at home for a while.
I mean, for some people, it might be walking down the driveway because they're not very mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Another person, it might be walk to the post office instead of driving. For others, it might be, run a marathon. I don't think, I wouldn't want anybody to listen to this and think, I wouldn't think you're cool, or Kip would look down on you if you weren't doing something totally extreme and badass. I get it, man. Everybody is in different places in their lives. I really get a kick out of anybody in any situation saying, no, I'm not standing for this. I'm going to try to take a piece back.
Yeah.
And if that's just getting off your couch and walking to the kitchen and you've never done that before, like, fuck yeah, that's a start. Now we can make it to the front door. All right. Once we get to the front door, we'll just walk to the neighbor's house. Once we walk to the neighbor's house, we'll just walk to the other neighbor's house. It's not about matching other people's feats. You know, I'm good friends with Cam. I can't come even close to what Cam does. But I'm not going to sit here and think about that. I'm going to think about what's good for me and what makes me feel good, you know? And if that's just getting up and walking to the neighbor's house, then that's a win. I just think people need to take ownership and do it.
Yeah.
I like that more than I like, I really don't. I don't care if you're some famous person who's done a bunch of cool shit and, you know, did all these amazing things. Like, I kind of get a kick out of the normal person who bucks the normal life. I really do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you got to compete with yourself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better way to close than with that. I mean, everyone's at a different spot and everyone can compete with themselves and challenge themselves to do a little bit better, 1% better each day.
Well, shit, man, thanks for having me on the podcast. I think that what you guys are doing and what you've done specifically is like, I think getting out there and talking about it is the first step, and also providing people with some help and some guidance and some coaching or some programs. And, I think that you guys are trying to be a part of the solution. And I think that's always what I like, is just be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Kip. Thank you. Thanks for inspiring us all with what you're doing. And I can't wait to hear more about your Alaska trips. And I can't wait to hear some stories about the boys being up there. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. What an inspiring conversation with Kip. We went into a lot of information there, but the golden nugget that I want you guys to take away is, in the end, he really laid it out on the line. He articulated it very clearly in that close. The golden nugget to remember is you are competing with yourself. It's about, how can I push today? I'm not comparing myself to others, but what can I do today that I didn't do yesterday? And for all of us, that looks different. It's individualistic for each and every one of us. And he really spoke about that well in the end. He's really good friends with Cam. Cam's doing these crazy things. He's not going to that level, but he's doing things at his own level that push and challenge him financially, career-wise, physically, mentally. So compete with yourself. What can you do today that you didn't do yesterday to go a little further, be a little bit more uncomfortable, and continue to sharpen? Thanks for being here. As always, remember, as a Mountain Tough podcast listener, you guys do have a special code. It is Mountain Pod. That's MTNPOD, all caps, all one word. And that does get you 6 weeks free in the Mountain Tough app. So don't forget about that code. 6 weeks, you can get in there and check out all of our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, nutritional programming. And you'll be in there for the 30 days, a full month, plus your 14-day free trial on the code Mountain Pod. As always, we love you guys. Thanks for being here, and stay tuned for next week's episode. Thanks for listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. We'll see you next week.